Good evening and welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA players, legends, and top instructors go to share their insights and playing lessons. Join Chris every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as he talks with the greats of the game. Tonight's show is sponsored by the French Lick Resort, Ben Hogan Golf, the PGA Tour Superstore, the Salt Creek Golf Retreat, TaylorMade Golf, the Bobby Jones Apparel Company, and Super Speed Golf. Now here's your host, Chris Mascaro.
Good evening, folks, and thank you for coming back and joining me again this week on Next on the Tee. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and tonight, boy, do we have a lot to talk about, right? Tiger back in the winner's circle. Justin Rose wins the Tour Championship. It's Ryder Cup week. Tiger, rightly proclaims himself to be on the Mount Rushmore of golf, which we'll talk about a lot tonight. So, yeah, there are a few things to talk about this week going on the PGA Tour and in and around the world of golf. And I'm going to do it tonight with three of the best instructors in the game. First up with me tonight is going to be Eric Johnson. And Eric has been an outstanding guest over the years. One of my favorite people on the planet, let alone guests here on the show. Eric is annually named one of the top 100 instructors in the game. Plus, his insights into what's going on around the game of golf are simply outstanding. So we'll talk about all of the things I mentioned a moment ago, plus maybe get a lesson or two, and maybe even sneak in a question about our Steelers. So looking forward to having Eric with me here in just a few minutes. Following him, and speaking of some of my favorite people and guests here on the show, Golf Academy lead instructor Rob Strano will be back with me. So we'll continue the conversation, like I mentioned, about all the topics that's up there at the top. Plus, we'll get some Strano playing notes around really what I want to focus on my time with Rob is on putting, right? We're lining up putts, having confidence on the green, reading the green, all of those sorts of things. So looking forward to having Rob back on the show a little bit later on in this half hour. And then I'll round out tonight's show with a visit from Paul Ramee. And Paul is the director of golf and club manager at Bulls Ridge Golf Club up in Kent, Connecticut. Paul and Eric actually were assistant pros together at Oakmont. So we're going to talk about the favorite stories about each of them to each of them, right? Eric, what's, his favorite story about Paul? Paul, what's, your favorite story about Eric? Looking forward to hearing both of those perspectives. And Paul's son, Hunter, is followed in his dad's footsteps playing golf at Seton Hall. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I wonder, from Paul, what's more stressful, when you're playing an event for yourself or you're following your son who's in a tournament? I wonder which one is more stressful. We'll find out what Paul thinks about that and a whole lot more. He'll be with me about 45 minutes from now. So a lot more great stories and playing lessons coming your way tonight on this edition of Next on the Tee. Thank you so much for tuning in and taking the journey with me over the next hour or so. But before we get started, first, I want to wish my father a very happy 75th birthday. I refer to on this show and on the football side, Thursday Night Tailgate, I refer to some of the athletes and some of the players as my heroes or idols when I was growing up. But my main idols, I should say, were my parents, both tremendous role models. My father always gave me someone to model my actions and behaviors by, instilled a great work ethic in me, taught me the right way and the wrong way to go about things and how to treat people, how to show respect for others and have good manners. So I love you, Dad. It was great being with you over the weekend and celebrating your birthday with our family. But I want you to know I'm thinking about you tonight, and I love you very much. All right, I want to remind you about our good friend Matthew Lawrence and his show, Backspin Golf, which airs Sunday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. It is my regular Sunday 8:03 a.m. tee time. It is broadcast on WLXG ESPN Radio AM 1300 up in Lexington, Kentucky. You can stream it live by going online to WLXG.com or do what I did, download the WLXG app. Matthew does a great job, and it's always a great way to start your Sunday morning. His equally fantastic twin brother, Mitchell, also has a great golf show that marries golf and travel. It's called Talking Golf Getaways, which you can find online at golfnewsnet.com or over on Audio Boom, or really anywhere you consume your podcast. He and his co-host Aaron Bunch travel all over the world, and they let you know about great places to play and even eat while you're there. Again, it's called Talking Golf Getaways, and you can stream it online at golfnewsnet.com or over on Audio Boom. And folks, as you know, we are sponsored by the French Lick Resort. Let's hear a word from our good friend Steve Rondinero about what they've got going on up there.
Play legendary golf at French Lick Resort, the only place in the country where you can play courses by two Hall of Fame designers on the same property. Our Pete Dye and Donald Ross courses offer two very different challenges. Experience them both and save with our Hall of Fame package. Our two historic hotels are unique as well. Cap it off with a fun visit to the French Lick Casino. Check us out online at FrenchLick.com. Bring a group and save even more. Play legendary golf this season at French Lick Resort.
Yeah, folks, go online to FrenchLick.com to see for yourself what a wonderful place it is and to book your stay as well. I also want to give a shout out to our friends at the Ben Hogan Golf Equipment Company. Folks, if you haven't hit Ben Hogan irons since the 80s or 90s, do yourself a favor. Get a demo iron from either their Fort Worth, PTX, or New Edge irons, and go out on the range and compare it to whatever it is you have. All Ben Hogan irons and wedges are handcrafted one at a time in their Fort Worth, Texas factory. No mass production, no shortcuts. Now you can order custom-made irons, wedges, hybrids by going online to benhogangolf.com, and they're going to build those clubs to your specifications. And best of all, charge you a fraction of the typical retail price. Check out their complete line of forged irons, wedges, utility irons, hybrids, bags, and accessories, again, by going online to benhogangolf.com. We're also proud to be partnering with Russ Holden and the folks over at Caddy for a Cure. One of the most unique opportunities in the world of professional golf is available to you through Caddy for a Cure. You're going to get to spend a day inside the ropes with one of the world's best players as their caddy. Fantastic way to have the time of your life while supporting our wounded service members and Fanconi anemia. You're going to get to walk side by side with your tour player experiencing professional golf as an insider. In addition to the amazing experience you're going to have, you're going to get a fantastic gift package from Caddy for a Cure, which includes Under Armour logoed apparel and an eyewear package, a tour-grade caddy bib suitable for autographs and framing, a tin cup ball marking gift, chef's cut real jerky, and professional photographs from your day. Go online to caddyforacure.com. That's CADDYFORACURE, caddyforacure.com to learn more. All right, now back with me and making his actually 12th appearance here on Next on the Tee is my good friend Eric Johnson. Let me remind you about Eric's background. Played his college golf and was a 4-year letterman at Mississippi State from 1992 to 1995. Helped them win back-to-back Kroger Intercollegiate titles in 94 and 95. Golf Magazine has named Eric a top 100 instructor every year since 2011. And he was also recognized by Golf Digest as a top 40 under 40 teacher. He's a 3-time Tri-State PGA Teacher of the Year, a 2-time Horton Smith Award winner for his contributions to education. He's played out on the Canadian Tour, the Sunshine Tour, and the Golden Bear Tour. Eric was the director of instruction at Oakmont Country Club for many years, and he is now the director of instruction over at Nemacolin Woodlands Resort, which looks like an absolutely fantastic place up in Farmington, Pennsylvania, which is a little southeast of Pittsburgh near the West Virginia border. And not only is Eric one of my favorite guests, he is really one of my favorite people on the planet, and I'm honored he's back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Hey, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Chris, thank you very much. Again, you're the most prepared and most enjoyable host that I've ever talked to in the game and on these shows. And so thank you for that wonderful introduction. I really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
Absolutely, Eric. So, Eric, let's talk a little bit tonight about Tiger Woods and winning for the first time in 5 years, something that many of us thought would never happen again. So your thoughts on what you saw from Tiger over the weekend, and does this make him the man to beat now heading into 2019?
Well, after 14 surgeries, we can say it publicly. There's public embarrassment. There was the DUI. There was the yips. There was a ton of things to overcome there. And to think that he has done that and overcome such great adversity, my hat's off to him. I've said for a long time I wasn't sure that he would win again because I never thought the so-called quote-unquote comebacks were real comebacks. They didn't look like they were comebacks. They looked like he was like dabbling and he was going to go out and play a little bit. But this one looks totally different. I mean, he looks healthy. His golf swing looks great. Now, being an instructor, that's an interesting one for me because personally, I think that he listened to a lot of really smart guys that didn't let him free up and play golf. And Now I think with the void of the instruction and the over instruction, so to speak, I think he's getting back to his inner golf DNA. I really do. I mean, I think that at the end of the day, we all, if you look at our swings from when we were kids and now, I mean, they don't really change that much. I mean, they change a little bit, but instinctually there's something in all of us. And when you take a Tiger that, when we think back of the Masters, when he won his first time, I mean, he moved off the ball a lot. And then he was taught, well, in 97, then he went through, the Harmon years and where I thought he was just unbeatable. And then went to Haney and then went to, Sean Foley and Chris Como. And I think they got him a little more centered, and I don't think they gave him enough time to get back to the ball. And you can't take that out of a great player like that. So what he did there was unbelievable. Sustainable? I don't know. I mean, he has never ceased to amaze me yet. I never seem to bet against him because he does stuff like he did, at the Tour Championship. Unbelievable performance.
So, Eric, I don't know if you saw the video that was put out on Twitter today by the PGA of America, but they asked him, it's a video of him, asked him who should be on the Mount Rushmore of golf. And he said, Snead, Jones, Nicklaus, and me. Is he right?
Oh, my. Mr. Humble Pie there. I guess if I had to rank it, maybe from a historical perspective, I might say Snead, Nicklaus, Jones, Palmer. But, maybe we'll be adding more to Mount Rushmore. Maybe Trump can get his name up there too. I don't know. Or Steve. I don't know. Make America great again. I don't know. Sorry about that. But 80 wins, 14 majors. He probably has a pretty good, I'm going to go with it. I think he should be up there. I really do. I'm going with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would
maybe
certainly
not
not argue
humble
the
thing
Tiger
he's ever said, but I like it.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue Tiger is the one that wouldn't be up there. And again, I'm a huge Sam Snead fan. I love, all the things that he achieved over the course of his career, the 82 wins, 7 majors, and the longevity that he had, still competing in top 10s in PGAs right. In his 60s. That's how great he was. But, I might probably the greatest international player of all time and 170 plus wins and 9 majors. I might go Gary Player there. But anyway. Curious also to get your thought, Eric. I thought we were in for one of the duels of the ages, or at least it could have been on Sunday with Tiger and Rory being in the final group of the Tour Championship. But Rory goes out and he bogeys 4, 5, 8. He doubles 7 and, really was never a factor. Rose never really mounted a charge. So your thoughts when you look at those two guys, and now you're kind of going back in time to the great Tiger of years ago, certainly 5 years ago at minimum. Is Tiger going to be a guy that sort of makes these guys melt yet again? Now you got the young guns, right? You got the, Justin Thomases and the Jordan Spieths and the Ricky Fowlers and all those guys who never, sort of half wished that they had an opportunity to play against Tiger. And again, careful what you wish for. But is this going to be a Tiger where the crowd and his play starts to make guys melt again?
Well, I mean, you sure saw it on Sunday. I mean, I couldn't believe Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy. Now, Rory McIlroy might be a little bit more understandable than Justin Rose. I mean, but again, when you look back at back in the days in 2000 and when he won 8, 9 times and he was just destroying fields, and I mean, he just, really destroyed a lot of egos and psyches. Like what he did to Phil and Ernie Els and Steve Stricker and all those guys that played with him, and you look back at the groups that played with him, no one really ever played very good. And you would think that deep down in, you'd be like, man, I want to show this guy that I can do it. But for whatever reason, it seemed like everybody just like choked it away. And I hate to use that word, but they just did not come up with their A game. And, Justin Rose, look at his career that he's had, was world number 1 and and the way he was playing, and then to flounder, and Rory, I mean, 4 or 5 over, and that makes the birdie on the last hole. But, I mean, it was what we used to watch. And I don't think these young guys quite understand what they ask for. I mean, when they say, "Oh, I want Tiger," well, okay. Well, you just got him, and I don't think anybody liked it other than Tiger and all the fans. I mean, so I think with all the surgeries, we just don't know. We don't know how his body's going to react. We don't know. There's a lot of questions out there, but man, that was some performance. Now, I will say this too. Tiger seems to not be able to close the way he used to. I mean, if you look back at the British Open, he stuffed it in there like 5-6 feet on the last hole and misses it. And Francesco Molinari drains it from like exactly the same spot. And that's the stuff that Tiger would have never done in the past. And you saw a little bit of that coming down the stretch. He made a couple bogeys and, made an incredible up and down on 17, which basically secured him the win. No one had bogeyed the 18th hole the whole day. So, I mean, let alone to make a double. So you knew he was probably going to win then, but, he did kind of flounder coming in a little bit. And I just think that the younger Tiger might not have done some of that, but you know what? Hey, you got to win. And wins are hard to get. And, when you think wins are hard to get and he's got 80 and 14 majors, that's some quite impressive career. Maybe Mount Rushmore worthy. Maybe it probably is.
So, let's extrapolate that a little bit forward and talk about the Ryder Cup. Because when you look at Tiger's record in the Ryder Cup, 4-1-1 in singles, but 9-16-1 in foursomes and 4-ball. Why do you think his partners seem to struggle so much when they're paired with him?
Well, I think there's a couple things there, Chris. I really honestly think that he was such a introvert and never let anyone in his circle before that I don't think the guys knew how to play with him. Like they didn't know if he was rooting for him or not. And I mean, he's got that killer instinct in him. And quite frankly, that's what I think most of that was. I think they were like, maybe a little intimidated to play with him and a little bit intimidated, like, am I good enough to play with this guy? And then we saw when Hal Sutton put Tiger and Phil out and, I mean, it was just a debacle. I mean, absolute debacle. And, because they didn't like each other. And I think that's why you look at the Seve and Olazabal pairing. I mean, they're countrymen. They love each other to death. They'll kill for the other guy. And I think that was missing a little bit from Tiger. Maybe he thought it was a little bit exhibitionish. I don't know. I think that might have been a statement that maybe he'd want to take back. But I just don't think he was friends enough with some of the guys he was playing with. You look at the successful pairings, and they're all good. They're kind of good pals, and they kind of know each other's game. And I know when I'm playing in team events, I pick a guy that, like, he knows I'm going to hit it all over the place, and I'm going to make some putts, and I'm going to make birdies, and I'm going to make bogeys, and just hang in there with me. And if you give me long enough, we're gonna win. But I just honestly think that maybe he wasn't friendly enough with the guys, and maybe that's why his combination pairings weren't that special.
So if you were Captain Furyk, who would you pair with him?
Bryson DeChambeau. I think those two have a little, I think those two have played a lot of practice rounds together. I don't know what the whole niche is there. I mean, you saw Tiger looking at the putting thing with Bryson the other day, but they played a lot of they play a lot together. I think Phil Mickelson, I think those two have a great relationship, or a much better relationship now. I'm not sure I'd put them together. But I think the golf world would maybe like to see it, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I'd love to see Dustin Johnson and Brooks Koepka. I think they would just flog people. I think it would be not even close. I think that, when you look at, and you know what? Phil's been pretty sneaky about picking really, really good partners who he wants to play with. If you look at over the past, I mean, like he takes Ricky Fowler. Well, God almighty. I mean, if there's one kid that's ready for that stage, it's Ricky Fowler. And yeah, he's young, whatever, but they won a lot of matches, and I think it's interesting to see I think it would be interesting to see Ricky and Jordan Spieth, or maybe like Justin Thomas and a Jordan Spieth, good friends. Mm-hmm. Now, when you start looking at the list, though, when you look at like Team USA, who's playing good and who isn't, you go down the list. Koepka is playing great. Dustin Johnson, great. Justin Thomas, great. Patrick Reed, fair. Bubba Watson, I don't know where he's been. Jordan Spieth, don't know where he's been. Ricky Fowler's been playing good. Webb Simpson's been playing good. Phil is the ultimate mystery. He hasn't played good for a while. Really, when we look at it. But you know what? Look what he did. He wasn't playing good coming into the last Ryder Cup, and he shot 63 in the final round against, who was it? Sergio. And then you look at, Tiger's playing awesome. He's gonna be a factor. Bryson DeChambeau is playing great, and Tony Finau, he's playing great. Now, if you look at the European team, Justin Rose playing great, Rory McIlroy, I'd say good. I know they're going to say great. Francesco Molinari, great. Tommy Fleetwood's playing great. John Rahm's playing great. Alex Norton's playing good. Terrell Hatton's playing good. Paul Casey, not so much. Hendrik Stenson, where the heck has he been? Ian Poulter, he had some success this year, but that's a little bit of a question mark. Sergio has been a serious question mark, and Thurber Olsen has been a question mark for me. So when I look at it, I think the United States of America, if we can pair them correctly, I think we trounce them. That being said, I'm sure we'll see, Sergio and Rahm together, put the Spaniards together, and Stenson and Poulter. We'll probably see some of that stuff, and but it'll be interesting to see the pairings and how. I'd love some dream pairings though too. Could you imagine? Could you imagine Tiger Poulter or DJ Justin Rose, Phil and Garcia again, Reed and Rory, Koepka, Molinari, like the major champion guys. If I had to do this and I was a TV guy, I'd say, guys, these are the 5 I want. Period. These have to be played because everyone wants to watch it. The needle will go through the roof. Oh.
So, but to that end, Eric, right? Based on what we just saw on Sunday, if you're Furyk, would you match Tiger up against Rory because you saw how Rory melted? You figure you take that away, or do you go back to the Patrick Reed Rory one because it was such great drama 2 years ago?
Man, it was such an epic duel last time. I think the world won. I bet you deep down Rory's like, please give me this kid again, because there's no way he can do that again. But I don't know. Patrick Reed's been playing. I'd say he's been playing good. I'd say fair. I don't think he's been playing great. I would love to. I'd love to see Tiger and Poulter, because I'd just love to see someone get right back up in his face and say, "Oh, really? Is that what you want?" Okay. I would personally love to see that. And then if he didn't beat him on the golf course, we'd have like a cage match afterwards, have a WrestleMania or something. But and we know Tiger would win that. But so I'm sorry, Chris, I went off there, but I'd love to see it. I think whoever he kind of plays against, especially in the singles, will probably maybe tail off a little bit. That'd be my guess.
So something else you mentioned a moment ago, Eric, is should we have any concern on the U.S. side when you see, Phil and Bubba, Patrick Reed, you were just talking about, even Brooks Koepka, all finished at the bottom of the leaderboard at the Tour Championship. But goodness knows, Phil and Bubba were a combined 23 over par. I'm hoping they were working on different shots because they were so far out of it that they were just practicing for this event. But any concern about those guys coming into this thing having finished at the, in the last 4 spots for championship?
I have no concern about Koepka. I honestly, the biggest concern I would have would be Bubba. He's just hard to figure out. He'll play great, and then you don't hear from him for months. And when you watch his putting, it looks really, really nervy. And so I don't know. That's what Phil has the most flair for dramatics of anybody I think I've ever seen in my life. I don't worry about him. I think the bigger the stage, the bigger he plays, the bigger he is, and the more he just shows up. I think, didn't play a good first round, and I think he, maybe phoned it in a little bit, like and I hope he's out there getting reps and doing whatever, and I hope he finds it, but I really think he will. I mean, you look at Jordan Spieth, he's a hair of a question mark for me, and I'll tell you why. When you look at the year he had a couple years ago, and he really hasn't played that great this year, and I think we'd all agree with that compared to the last couple of years. And I think that he had like the Tiger Woods moment with, with Dustin Johnson when they're playing on a playoff and Rory had to go up the middle. DJ knocked it over that lake and had a sand wedge in. Rory had a 6-iron in. The game's over. And I think he realized that. And when you watch his putting right now, his putting is not that good. And I think we'd all agree with that. His putting is not where it needs to be. And I think that's because, from a personal standpoint, I think he feels like he has to putt great because he can out-ball strike Koepka or Johnson, maybe a Justin Thomas for that matter. He just can't out-ball strike him. And when you see somebody that's that dominant and not afraid to hit it 330 over a lake and they cut off this and you got to go that way, that's a little bit of a humble pie sensation there. It's a little unnerving. And I personally think that's what's happened to him a little bit. So, if you get him with the right pairing, I think he's going to do pretty well. But if he gets against some of these bombers, I don't think he'll do, all that well, maybe in the singles. But that's my take on that.
Yeah. So, let me expand on that just for a second. So, we have seen Jordan in un-Jordan-like, right, with putting. All of a sudden, he went from being one of the best putters in the world and a guy that was making everything from 25 feet to a guy who's missing stuff inside of 2. So do you think it's a lack of confidence? It's all of a sudden now I'm putting too much pressure on my putting because I can't hang with these guys otherwise? Is that what it is?
That's what I personally think. Chris, I've seen him live. Saw him at Oakmont and when I was there for, 13 years and saw him at the last, Open. And I mean, he hits it good. Don't mistake that. I mean, he hits it good, but it's not Koepka long. It's not Dustin Johnson long. I mean, I don't even think it's Justin Thomas long. I mean, Justin can really bomb it for a little guy. It's not Bubba Watson long. Ricky hits it hard, Phil can still dig deep. I mean, Tiger had one of the fastest clubhead speeds on the tour this year. So when you look at that stuff and you're playing against these guys and you measure yourself against your competitors, and I know we shouldn't, but we all are guilty of it. We look and say, well, what's this guy doing? What's this guy doing? And well, if some guy's hitting at 30, 40 yards by you, well, that really sends a little chill up your spine. And that probably puts the most pressure on the best thing that you do. Like he has putted it, especially 2 years ago, and put it like no one we've ever saw, and made everything. And now it's like he's like, I gotta make these, and he looks. And I've always said this too, and if you go back on your shows, I've always said this. He always looks a little bit too jumpy to me. He's, for such a great player, Tiger never, ever looked like that. I mean. Goes back to the 2006 Canadian Open, the first professional win. I mean, commentators are like, oh, it looks like he's laying up. But wait a minute, he's got an iron. Oh, he's going at it. Oh, he hit a 6-iron, 218 yards over a lake out of a bunker. Now, no one would do that, and he didn't even flinch. He got out there, and hit it. Where you see Jordan is just very jumpy. He's like always getting a towel. He's always wiping something off. He's always like, okay, how far was it? He just doesn't look like a player that's calm. And, when I think you play against a player that looks very calm and you see someone that's not, you're like a shark. There's blood in the water. You know it. And I think that's my personal take on that. I'm sure some people have their other opinions, but that's mine. And I really stand by that too. I really feel like he's just not as confident as we've seen him in the past.
Yeah, and I agree 100% with that, Eric. I feel the same way, especially when you see him like at the Open Championship last year, and the shot on 13 and stuff like that. Sometimes I think the pressure gets to Jordan a little bit, and then he needs something positive to get himself going. And it obviously came through. But I get concerned about him in final rounds.
Yeah, and you know what? And I love him to death too. I wish him all the best. So please don't misunderstand that either. It's just an observation.
Just a couple more before we let you go, Eric. A couple quick ones. Yep. One, we've got your fellow former assistant pro from Oakmont joining me later on the show, Paul Ramee, and wanted to get your favorite Paul Ramee story.
He's got too many on me. I can't give you my favorite one, Chris, but it has to do with his bachelor party, which was an embarrassment. But I will say that's all I'm gonna say. I promise I won't say another word because he's got way too many on me. He's a piece of garbage. No, I'm just kidding, Paul. I love him to death. We worked he was the first assistant at Oakmont when I was an up and comer, and beat me up pretty good back there. So you tell him I still have a little scars from all the jockey marks that he hit me with. But you tell him that too. I hope he's
all right. I will.
But tell him
I got to get a quick thought on our Steelers before we let you go. Finally got off the schneid last night, though was unimpressive as always with the defense. What are your thoughts?
Well, when we're tied with the Browns, I have serious doubts. I mean, come on. What happened? Le'Veon Bell? I mean, Antonio Brown's acting like a schoolgirl. Ben looks like he can't hold on to it. Oh my goodness gracious. Lord help us all. I don't know. We live and die by the Steelers, and, when you're from Pittsburgh, the deal. You root for the Pirates and the Pens, and man, I thought coming into this year, we're Super Bowl contenders. And I really legit thought that. And the way we started, I hate to borrow Johnny Miller's thing. I think we'd be lucky if we won the Hershey Bar Open right now. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. I mean, it's a little sad with the lack of discipline, and I hate to say it, Chris, I almost wonder if we're like a regular season team, where we want to be, great and win in playoffs, but then, we just lose in the playoffs, and we're a great team and we got some great talent. Now you just, maybe I'm a little disappointed at some of the discipline, and I don't know if I blame Tomlin on that, but maybe I do a little bit, but I think with all that talent, we should be just a little bit more, well, we don't see that with Bill Belichick, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he's probably the best coach that's ever coached. So,
Eric, before we let you go, let our listeners know, remind them again about your website, ericjohnsongolf.com, which is fantastic, and if someday we'll ever see you out on social media.
Okay, so listen, I got an Instagram thing now. I've got like 119 followers, and I'm all pumped up about that. My assistant Patrick Kane's been all over me, like, you got to do Instagram. So I'm doing it, Eric Johnson Golf, ericjohnsongolf.com. Check us out on nemacolin.com. It's a phenomenal resort. The Hardy family's built something incredibly special here. And I'm in Golf Magazine this month. Quick tip on, squaring the face to joint alignment. Next month I'm in there doing high bunker shots. So take a peek. Let me know what you think. And Chris, I can't thank you enough for having me, buddy.
Eric, you're a special guy, and I appreciate you very much. You've been a great friend of the show and a great friend to me, and I can't thank you for all the things that you've done for me. So appreciate your time again tonight. Look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
No worries. Hey, by the way, you didn't come up this summer, and I'm mad. Where were you?
Yeah, you know what? I should have done it, and my apologies will make it happen.
All right, buddy. Well, you're on the hook now.
All right. Fair enough. You got me.
Thanks, buddy.
All right. See you, man.
Bye-bye.
That's Eric Johnson, and they don't come better, folks. ericjohnsongolf.com, and hopefully we'll get him out there on social media, and looking forward to catching up with him again real soon. I always have so much fun when Eric's a part of the show. He's just one of the great people you get to meet in this life. All right, before I get to my next guest, Rob Strano, I want to give a shout out to a couple of our sponsors. First, I got to tell you about the new weapon I have in my golf bag. Last several months, I've been playing with the new M4 driver from TaylorMade Golf. And if you haven't tried their twist-based technology, you're missing out. I don't know about you, but I don't hit it in the center of the face every single time. After studying hundreds of thousands of swings from pros and amateurs like us, TaylorMade designed their new drivers to help protect us from our mishits and give us straighter distance. So whether your mishit is on the low heel or the high toe, Twist Face helps bring the ball back to center. keeping the distance that we want and finding the fairway more often. Hitting more fairways than I ever have, and their new drivers are the choices of pretty good golfers you might recognize. Twist Face is played by Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, Jason Day, Jon Rahm, and Justin Rose, to just name a few, and they're dominating the top 10 out on tour. So if you haven't tried Twist Face, go hit it and get bit. It's in the new M3 and M4 drivers and only from TaylorMade. I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Super Speed Golf. Now used by over half the tour players in the world, Super Speed Golf is the fastest and most effective way to increase your swing speed. 3 8-minute training sessions per week are all you need to add 5% to your swing speed. With sets for golfers of all ages and over 1 year of included video instruction as well. Super Speed offers a complete solution to help you start bombing it off the tee. Visit them online at superspeedgolf.com to pick up your set today. And folks, this segment of the show is sponsored by our friends over at the PGA Tour Superstore.
This segment of the show is brought to you by the PGA Tour Superstore. See why golfers everywhere are proud to call PGA Tour Superstore their golf pro shop. Visit them online at PGATourSuperstore.com. Now back to Chris and more of the show.
And now back with me here on the French Lick Resort guest line is Rob Strano. Let me remind you about Rob's background. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. Grew up playing at the same country club as PGA Tour pros Bob Goby, Jay and Jerry Haas, and Frank Connor. Played his college golf at Centenary College. He played on the PGA Nationwide and Hooters NGA tours for 15 years and won 5 times. He's now one of the top instructors in the game. He's the only top instructor teaching the game to deaf children. You've probably seen Rob on Golf Academy over on the Golf Channel. His Strano Golf Academy is located at Kelly Plantation in Destin, Florida, and I am honored he is back with me again tonight here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Rob, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Chris. Good to be with you. And is there anything to talk about in golf right now? Is there anything
I was just going to say, Rob, it's been a pretty boring week. Not much happened. I don't know about what we'll talk about. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, the biggest story in sports happened this past Sunday for the entire year. Nothing will top what happened on Sunday the rest of the year. And we got the Ryder Cup coming up. It was just an amazing thing to watch. And what's interesting is on Tuesday and Wednesday, I was actually in Atlanta there hosting one of my clinics with the deaf kids from the Atlanta School for the Deaf. And Tuesday, there's no spectators looking a lot of East Lake. And I went out and was doing my site walkthrough for the event on Wednesday with the kids. And I ran into Tiger and Bryson and Tony playing a practice round. They were coming up 14 as I was getting up to 15 there where they had the big bleachers behind the green where I put the kids to watch a little bit of the practice round. And so I got to walk in the last 4 holes with those guys, just me and a couple guys from the media and just kind of up close and personal and just kind of watch Tiger's move. And, to kind of echo what Eric said before me, I tell you what, his swing looks good. It looks solid. It doesn't look like it's going to break his body right now. And, he put it together for 4 days at East Lake on a very, very hard golf course. When I was there, the greens were firm, fast, the rough was deep. And as you saw by some of the scores, it wasn't playing easy. So it was kind of a little bit of the Tiger of old we saw. And, it was exciting to watch. I mean, the crowd closing in on them on the last hole. I mean, it gave you goosebumps to see everybody that excited. It just was great for the game and just fun to watch. But, we're talking about the Ryder Cup coming up. You're going to see Bryson and Tiger, 100%, guarantee you. I've been on a tour a couple of times this year, and they play every practice round together. Every practice round that I've been out there that I've seen Tiger, he's with Bryson. So I think there's a comfort level there. I think they get along well, and that's what Tiger needs. I got asked by Golf Channel to make up some predictions for the Ryder Cup, and I said 14-14 tie. It's going to be close for all 3 days. And they said MVPs for both teams. And I said Tiger Woods, because he got to sit by at Hazeltine and watch the team win. And don't think that one of the smartest guys ever played golf didn't make some mental notes on this team just won without me. What do they got going on that the teams I've been on and we've gotten beat had? I think he's going to come up with a new attitude, a new game, and he's going to have a lot more fun and play loose. I think he's going to dominate. He may win every match this week, but I think he's going to invert that losing record he's got. And on the European side, Justin Rose, is going to continue his great play and is going to continue to prove why he's world number one.
So, Rob, and I was talking about this with Eric a bit as well. To your point about playing with Tiger, 9-16-1 in 4-ball and in foursomes. So if you stick a guy like Bryson with him, again, two very mental guys, great mental approaches, right? Very cerebral, very smart. They know a lot of things about angles and all of that sort of stuff. Is that a guy that can, my thought has been the reason why Tiger struggles in 4-ball and foursomes is he's never been a really good driver of the golf ball. So, but nobody is better at getting up and down and, hitting it out of rough and all of that sort of stuff than Tiger is. But if he's the guy driving the golf ball, he's putting in his partner in a place that his partner's not good at, though Tiger is. Is this a matchup where if Tiger isn't driving the ball well, and he drove it very well at Eastlake, so maybe he's figured all of that out. But is that something that Bryson can deal with? If Tiger puts him in a bad spot, that's not going to get his mentally out of the game and cost the team.
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of times when we analyze these teams, we analyze them from the mentality of what does the average player do? That's not the case. These guys are all accomplished players. They learn how to deal with mental situations that stress them on the golf course. They learn how to make decisions and make smart decisions and good play. So it's not like it's an 18 handicapper trying to play the ball from a bad tee shot. No, it's an accomplished tour player, a winner, someone with a high skill level. So it doesn't matter. I mean, to whether it's Tiger or Bryson or Furyk or making decisions on who's playing with who. These guys are all really, really, really good players. And it doesn't matter who it is. Phil can be wild. It's not going to affect Justin Thomas if that's his partner. If Phil whistles one off, and Justin or Jordan's got to make a play.
So, Rob, one of the things I wanted to get your thoughts on in talking about Tiger Woods, and I don't know if you saw it out there, PGA.com put a little video out there of Tiger today. And they asked Tiger, who should be on the Mount Rushmore of golf? And he said, Snead, Jones, Nicklaus, and me. Is he right?
Well, the question is, are we sticking with 4 heads? Are we going to go 6 heads or whatever? How many heads are we going to throw on the Mount Rushmore of golf? But let's just stick with 4 since we got 4 on the main one. So the back side of the mountain, any Mount Rushmore of golf has to have Arnold Palmer on it. If you are the king, you've been called the king, as he was his whole career. He did so much for the game of golf. He's got to be up there. Number 1. Okay, Mr. Palmer. Number 2, Bobby Jones. You can't argue that. First player to win the Grand Slam. Absolutely has got to be on golf Mount Rushmore. Mr. Nicklaus, number 3. Major championship holder. He's won throughout his career. Great player throughout his life. Absolutely, Nicklaus is the 3rd head on there. And I'll tell you a funny Nicklaus story. This is a great story about Mr. Nicklaus. And you mentioned growing up with Bob Goldie. Whenever I'm home, I sit down and have lunch with Mr. Goldie, and we just kind of talk golf and all kinds of other stuff. And he told me a story. He said when Mr. Nicklaus was around 22 or 23, they played in the Masters together. And in the first round, Mr. Palmer, like 70, was up at the top of the leaderboard, and they were walking to the 15th green and walking on the right side of the lake, and a bunch of guys were giving Jack a hard time. And Mr. Goldie looked at Mr. Nicklaus and said, Jack, how can you handle that? He said, I want to go over the ropes. How can you not want to go over the ropes after those guys? And he said, Nicklaus looked at him and calmly said, you know what, Bob? One day, they'll all be for me.
Wow.
How about that?
Yeah.
For a young guy in his 20s. Great story. I mean,
yes.
I tell that story having heard Mr. Goldie tell me, it gives me goosebumps. That's someone who's mentally more mature and more stronger than that moment. Because a lot of us would have loved to go over the ropes after Heckler or said something to him. He just walked by and said, one day they're all going to be for me. I mean, what a great line. Your 4th head on Mount Rushmore, though. That's where you get into some interesting thoughts about, does it have to be a guy? I mean, what about, Babe Didgerson's a Harriet or a Nancy Lopez? How about, someone like Gary Player, who's a worldwide
Yes.
renowned champion. He's won hundreds of tournaments and has been a great ambassador for the game and for physical fitness throughout his whole career, and a very, very fine gentleman also. Francis Ouimet bears mentioning. You know, he really brought golf to America by winning that U.S. Open back in 1913, I think, something like that. So you've got a couple of names to bat around that fourth head. You know, Tiger, sure, we can throw Tiger in there too, but you got a little bit of spot, you know, a little bit of wiggle room on some of these spots. But, you know, to me, you've got to go with Nicholas, Jones, and Mr. Palmer as your first three heads. And then the fourth one, you know, we may have to roll dice or something for that one.
Rob is probably one of the best putting instructors on the planet. I want to get your thoughts on Jordan Spieth. You know, Jordan, he didn't make the field for the Tour Championship. We've seen him go from just as good as anybody from 25 feet in to a guy who struggles now inside of 2 feet. What are you seeing from Jordan? As Eric was talking about earlier in the show, that maybe the rest of his game is putting so much pressure on his putting that is sort of getting to him in that respect. But what are you seeing from Jordan? And is there something that he can do to, you know, get back to where he was?
Well, you know, putting is one of those things where it's easy to get in a hot streak. And I always tell my players this, and even my tour players that come work with me, or a new tour player, I always say, why is putting the easiest part of your game to change? And it's a real simple answer. If I change something with your driver, Chris, give you a different driver, or change your ball position, well, all of a sudden, Mr. Jones's backyard over there is in play. You know, his pool, his windows, all of a sudden, those, you know, you might whistle one in someone's backyard. But when it comes to putting, if I give you something that makes more putts right away, well, you'll be able to run with that and take it to course, and I can't wait to get it out there because it's a small maneuver. It's not a big action. It doesn't require a lot of speed. And the easy answer is, I've never lost a ball on the putting green. I've never hit a putt out of bounds. I've never putted it into a hazard. I've never incurred a penalty on the putting green. So if I give you something that makes more putts, you got to immediately be able to grab it and run with it and go make more putts on the golf course. And Jordan, the thing with him is, and I haven't studied his action up close this year. I haven't touched if I've run into him this year because he wasn't at the Tour Championship. Trying to think of the players. I did see him putting at the Players, and his putting strokes looked good there. He was making putts, and a lot of times there's some things that go into putting other than mechanics. Is your speed good? Are you making good reads on green? Those things can start to weigh on you where you're hitting a lot of edges. You're thinking, oh man, I'm hitting edges. I got to do something a little better. Well, no, you're just off by the width of a hair. Keep doing what you're doing, and those will fall. So there could be a more to the mental side of it with Jordan than there is the mechanics side. I would leave the mechanics side to his coach Colin, not Colin McCormick, Cameron McCormick, to comment on what they're working on mechanics wise. But you know, hopefully they got it figured out for the Ryder Cup this week, because the Ryder Cup, everybody hits it good. It's just who makes putts. In fact, in Hazeltine, you know, we just made more putts, whether it was Patrick Reed or Mickelson making all those putts, and Sergio on Sunday in his match. Everybody putted well at Hazeltine, and that's what it boils down to: is who flips one out of a bunker, who chips one in unexpectedly, and who drops a couple extra 30-footers in a match. That really, really determines the outcome, because they all hit it well.
Rob, just a couple more before we let you go. And there's a great video of you with Michael Bree talking about confidence on the green. Talk about the negative talk that we say to ourselves on the practice green and what we need to do to change that.
Gotcha. Well, I had fun doing that segment with Michael, and we talked about how we hear players say the same thing, and a negative and a positive can equal the same thing. So I'll be working with the player on the putting green. I'll hear some guys warming up, and one guy will be making everything. And he'll look at his playing partners and go, well, I'm leaving them all here. I'm not going to make them on the course. And then another guy will be missing everything, and he'll go, not going to make anything on the course, so not making anything here. Well, wait a second. Makes and misses can't equal the same thing. And so, like I just said, when you see putts going in, you ought to be jazzed about getting out there on the green and going, I can't wait to get on the course and play. And it's kind of funny. I actually played today. I had one of my tour players in get me to Q school, and we'll get out there earlier today, and I got 14 holes with him in, and on the back 9, I one putted 6 out of 9 green and just was rolling it in from all over. The strokes up good. I was seeing the lines and making putts, and I just couldn't wait to hit the next putt. And I one putted 11, one putted 12. No, this one putted 11 and 13 and 14. I mean, just, when you get it going, you get it going. It's just a matter of the mindset. And, once you've trained mechanics and line and speed, then it's believing you should make everything. And we get in the mindset of just trying to get it close. And that's the same as if I said to you, Chris, here's the dart. I want you to throw that dartboard. I want you to hit the bullseye. Well, you're going to hit the bullseye by just trying to randomly throw the dart at the dartboard? No, you're going to try to hit the bullseye. Same thing as putting. Tell my players, let's hit the bullseye every time. And if we just miss the bullseye, well, we're going to be in a manageable area to two putt from. But if we're just trying to get it close, well, now if we figure close is 2 feet, 3 feet, and we miss that little bullseye by a foot, now we're 4 feet. We missed it by 2 feet, we're 5 feet. Now we're getting unmanageable on the green. So I tell my players, hit the bullseye every single time. And it's the object of the game regardless. The object of the game is to hold the ball. There's no point or deduction for getting it close. I'm trying to knock it in all, every chance I get on the green.
Rob, before we let you go, remind our listeners about all the great stuff that they can find on your website and how they can stay up to date with what you're doing on social media.
Well, if you go to stranogolf.com, there's a lot of videos from Golf Channel there. And I believe the breed segment is there. It's a fun segment on putting we did. And we talk about the mechanics of putting. We talk about the mental side of putting. We kind of brush across all things there. There's a couple other great clips. I'm known as the pop culture coach. So you'll see some fun pop culture, whether I'm singing, dancing. We do, Paige McKenzie and I did Gangnam Style and Bunker on Golf Channel. I've done the Carlton in the Bunker, which is from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I sang. We've done Top Gun, Caddyshack. There's a lot of fun videos I've got there over at Golf Channel archive there. Social media, Strano Golf at Instagram, Twitter, and Strano Golf Academy at Facebook. A lot of great content, a lot of great stuff from the Tour Championship last week. I've got some great video from Tiger that day. I followed him up close, hitting bunker shots, and some great video of Rory and Tommy Fleetwood. But a lot of good places to find me on social media. I always joke with everybody, I can't hide. I'm everywhere on the internet. If you just Google my name, you'll find my website, my social media, every other place that there's a reference to me out there. And if you're interested in what I do with the deaf kids, ASL, and for American Sign Language, ASL Golf on Facebook. We've got a bunch of pictures and video there of the kids in camps. And when I have a tour player do a clinic for me, the interesting thing is the kids started this right away. One of the first players to do a clinic for me, the kid asked the player, can you hit one like Happy Gilmore? And he said, I don't know, I've never tried. So I've got video on there of all kinds of tour players trying to hit the Happy Gilmore shot, including a couple of them almost hitting me with tanks with the driver. So there's some fun video of tour players there trying to go full Happy Gilmore, and lots of fun stuff with those kids. It's a labor of love to be able to bring the game of golf to kids who simply can't hear it but are talented athletes still, nonetheless.
Rob, you're fantastic. There's no other way to put it. Always so much fun getting to spend some time with you. I always look forward to this segment. I hope you'll be back soon, share more of your stories and your insights with us. Always a lot of fun when you're a part of the show.
Well, it's always great to be on your fantastic show. Thank you for calling me fantastic. But Chris Mascaro is a fantastic guy, fantastic show. Always enjoy being on anytime you ask me, my friend.
Take care, Rob. All the best to you and your family. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good one.
All right. You too, Rob. Take care. That's the great Rob Strano, and Strano is spelled S-T-R-A-N-O. So Strano Golf is where you'll find him online. And I got a twofer right there because two of the greatest people that I've had an opportunity to spend a great deal of time with, both Rob Strano and Eric Johnson, back to back on this show. It's been a great night so far. Looking forward to catching up here with Rob soon. And then I've got my next guest, Paul Ramee, hanging on the line, and get to Paul right on the other side of this quick station break.
You're listening to Next on the Tee, heard around the world on great sites like TuneIn and Podbean. Hear your favourite PGA and LPGA legends, pros and top instructors sharing their stories, insights and tips to lower your scores every week here on Next on the Tee. Now, back to you, Chris.
And now joining me here on the French Lick Resort guest line is Paul Ramee. Let me give you some background on Paul. Played his college golf at Seton Hall. Became a Class A certified PGA professional back in 1996. In 2013, he was named the Horton Smith Award winner for his dedication to education. Golf Digest has ranked him among the top instructors in the state of Connecticut. Paul has been an assistant golf professional at the Park Country Club in Williamsville, New York, Canoe Brook Country Club in Summit, New Jersey, and Oakmont Country Club. He was one of the inaugural instructors at the Golf Channel's Golf Academy. In 2016, Connecticut PGA Section Teacher of the Year. Golf Digest ranked him one of the top 3 instructors recently in the state of Connecticut. And since 2003, he has been the director of golf and club manager at Bulls Bridge Golf Club up in Kent, Connecticut, which is in the western part of the state, almost at the border of New York. And I am honored he is with me tonight here on Next on the Tee. Good evening, Paul. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, good evening, Chris. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Paul, with all of my
Eric
first-time guests, I'd like to start out by learning, where you learned to play golf first. Who was the first person to put a golf club in your hands?
My father was a tennis player, so it was kind of, watching tennis balls whiz by my head as a kid. But there was my parents bought a house right next to Fairmount Country Club in Chatham, New Jersey, and there was a golf pro over there by the name of Kevin Riley and Ralph Romano, who basically I would sneak out every night and they kind of cut some clubs down for me and gave me 4 clubs when I was about 11 years old and gave me a job a couple summers later and that's kind of how I got started with the game of golf. Back in the late 70s, people were playing tennis and there was nobody on these 4 holes behind my house. And those 2 guys gave me some clubs and that's kind of how I got started in the game.
So how did you go from there to playing your college golf at Seton Hall?
Well, back then, high school golf mattered. We had a really good high school golf team in Chatham, New Jersey, and we were 87-1 my 4 years in high school. Now these kids got the AJGA tour, and high school golf was really kind of spring training for them for their summer seasons. And since back then, you didn't have your own Twitter account. I had to send a VHS tape and clippings from the newspapers in New Jersey to all the golf coaches and. A guy by the name of Howie Rupert came to the house and signed a letter of agreement and went to Seton Hall and played golf for my college career.
And Paul, now your son Hunter, who looks like he's a tremendous player in his own right, has sort of followed your footsteps and is playing his college golf at Seton Hall. Talk about your son Hunter's game.
Yeah, well, he's having the freshman blues right now. He had a real good junior career, and I've stayed close with the team. I actually coach a couple of the kids on the team currently there, and they play in the University of Hartford event every September up at our house. We always have them over for dinner. So we stayed close to the program, and Hunter had the opportunity to go play for them. He'd always had his heart set on Division I golf. And, they're about 150th in the country, not bad for a team up in the Northeast. And, they gave him an opportunity, and he's had a little bit of success in his first event, but finding out what being a freshman in Division I sports is all about, trying to balance academics and time and now golf. So, but, I'm expecting big things from him. He flies at about 320. He's just a great kid with a great career ahead of him.
So, Paul, curious, do you have more anxiety when you're playing in a golf event or one of your students is playing in a golf event or when you're watching Hunter play in a tournament? What's more stressful?
I can't watch them. It's not even close. I can't watch my kids play golf. It is nerve-wracking. We have 3 boys, so typically my wife and I are never at the same golf event. And we're texting each other back and forth how they doing, par, birdie, bogey, par, birdie, bogey, and it's the anxiety is amazing. I find it infinitely easier to play golf myself or watch somebody else who's not my son play golf. But you have no control. I mean, you want to reach out to somebody that played this game and I've got a lifetime of experience and failures and learning from them, and you've got to let them, fail a little bit on their own and go through it and learn to make those mistakes and then come back smarter.
So, Paul, switching gears a little bit, and as you know, I had Eric Johnson on the show earlier, and I love Ian. He's a great guest and been a great friend over the years, and I know you guys were assistants together at Oakmont for a little while. So he told me his favorite Paul Ramee story. What's your favorite Eric Johnson story?
Well, Eric was never the fastest golfer. So we're standing.
Eric's slow?
Eric is, I didn't say slow. He's never the fastest golfer. So we had this really nice trip over to Scotland probably 10 years ago. And, we got to play the old course. We were in the same group, about 8 golf pros. We were in the same group, at the old course. And Eric is in first fairway and he gets out there and he's got to pitch it over the burn, onto that green, which sits right on the other side of that burn. And Chris, if he didn't back off 5 times, he probably backed off closer to 10 or 12 times. And just back, and then he's got all, he's almost like Nomar Garcia Parra when he's putting the batting gloves on and, re-gripping the bat. And he's got all these, quirks and, he's going back and forth and he's re-gripping it. And finally he hits this thing onto the green. And, I looked at him, I said, you're like a human rain delay. And, we just kind of chuckled about it, but, that's one of the more PG stories I can tell about EJ. So, but we had 2 great years together at Oakmont. He came from, Mississippi State where he played in the PGM program there. And I'm so happy for the success he's had, on the teaching side. He's such a great friend and great golf professional. Any insight into what he said about me or do I have to listen to it?
He told about your bachelor party.
That's not, shouldn't be aired. All right. Well,
you'll be fine. I'm sure your wife won't mind the story. She'll probably never.
She knows. So, but yeah, that was a long time ago.
So, Paul, I'm from Pittsburgh, and most of our dreams, for people, just golfers in general, but certainly for those of us from in and around Pittsburgh, is playing at Oakmont one day. And like I say, you were there for some years. So, talk about playing at the course at Oakmont. What's it like being there every day?
Well, playing the golf course, not to disparage other golf courses. First time I came from New Jersey, I came to Oakmont. First time I played, I shot 91. The first time I played other great championship golf course, that's the first time I played like Oak Hill, I shot like 73. So, Oakmont, and this goes back to some of the quotes and some of the videos that they had made. Oakmont could host a national championship just about any day, of the year. That's how good it is every day. I remember we had just a 2-day tour event and we had 29 of the top 30 money winners come. It was for Family House, which is a charity for battered women in Pittsburgh. And we didn't do anything really to the golf course. And Furyk won it, and he shot 4 under for 2 days. That just tells you how hard Oakmont was every day. And then, the membership at Oakmont is, second to none. There's a great cast of characters. My staff at Bullsbridge is so tired of hearing me tell stories about the members at Oakmont. And then, the ability to work for Bob Ford, legendary golf professional. I always told people it was like going to Harvard Business School. You just were getting an education that you didn't really even know you were getting just by keeping your eyes open and watching. You learn something every day. When I was there, Bob he had just won National Merchandiser of the Year, and Rick Martino won, National Teacher of the Year. In a 3-year span, we had 2 national award winners in the PGA scene. So that was pretty cool.
And Paul, truth or myth that the greens run faster during member play than they do during the U.S. Open?
I would say pretty true. I'll never forget showing up to the 07 Open, and we came up and we got behind the 12th green, and some guy's hitting a 7-iron in or something. It's par 5 down the hill, hitting a 7-iron in, and the thing lands on a downslope and backs up the hill. Right away you could tell that the USGA had slowed it down, put water down, because that ball normally for the members would have ran into the back over the green in the rough, and you'd have a nasty pitch back up the hill. So I was never there for an open. I came the year after the 94 open, but, those members at Oakmont loved it tough. It couldn't get tough enough. So I would have to say truth.
So you say that the membership where you're at now gets tired of you hearing, telling stories. But so what's your favorite story from your time at Oakmont?
Well, outside of my bachelor party, there was we had a member who his nickname was the Phantom, and we called him the Phantom because he was missing his right thumb. So, you'd make a putt. They had this legendary game at Oakmont called the SWAT, where you'd sign up and you'd play in foursomes, gross against every other team in the field. You could have 7, 8 teams in the field, $5 napkin. So you're making, you're not making a whole lot of money as an assistant back then. And, you could lose $150 on a Saturday and have to go home and tell your wife that you can't go out to dinner that night like you promised her. So you better start hitting balls and getting better. But, so we had this guy called the Phantom, right? So, and he was missing a right thumb, and it was amazing to watch him try and grip that club with the right hand, because you have to keep turning the right hand over because the thumb wasn't on there to support the club. So we come to the 18th green or 18th tee box, and this is before, all the trees have been cut down. So there's still some pine trees and, to the left of the 18th tee box. So the Phantom, he kind of hits this squirrely shot over towards the driving range off of 18T, and he whips his club up in the trees to the left of the tee box. So he says to this guy, he says, "Bobby, get up there and get," and I swear to God, if I didn't see this, I wouldn't believe it. He says, "Bobby, get up there and get that driver out of the tree." And, all the members' clubs at Oakmont and most clubs have name labels on it. So Bobby shimmies up the tree, he's rattling the tree, and this club falls down, and Bobby comes back down the tree. He goes, "Here you go, Phantom. Here's your driver." And he says, "Bobby, that's the wrong driver. That's the one I threw up there last week." So just great stories like that. He'd always say to you, "Give me," you couldn't give him 5. He'd say, "Give me 4. Give me 4 after you made a putt in the slot."
That's great. So, Paul, let's talk a little bit about what's going on around the game of golf right now. And obviously, here we are. It's Ryder Cup week. So, give me your thoughts. Who wins and why?
You could throw all the stats out. We've just seen 2 of the greatest streaks in sports come to end. The Browns won and Tiger won after long losing streaks. So it's been 1993. I didn't even know my wife of 23 years now. The last time we won on their soil. So I think, these things happen in sets of 3. I think it's our time to win on their soil. But, on paper, this first time ever that all top 10, all 10 people, top 10 on the, world rankings are all playing in the Ryder Cup. We got 6 of them. They got 4. And, top 25, we own 12 of our guys are in the top 25, 8 of theirs. So on paper, looks like we should win. Greens are going to be slow, might benefit them. It's more of a stadium type golf course, which I think our guys get to see a little bit more of, week in and week out on the PGA Tour. But I would say really the only thing that scares me, I think we win about 16-14. I just think our team is really strong. The only thing that scares me is if you look at last week's Tour Championship and where some of our guys finished. First, Spieth didn't make it. And then we had 4 guys all finish, the 4 last spots in the field. So 5 of our guys, finishing, not one guy not making it, 4 finishing in. So, that's the only thing that really scares me. Maybe we're not on form, but, I still think, it's our time. It's been too long. And, I think it's, Ball Strikers golf course. I think our guys are a little bit better tee to green. And I think the slow greens will kind of offset each other, negate any advantage they have.
Paul, I was looking at some of the videos of you and some of the drills and instruction that you have, and all fantastic stuff. You've got a great drill about using the wall as a guide for your swing plane. Do you mind sharing that story or that drill?
Yeah, I see a lot of times people, pull that club too far to the inside. I teach up in Connecticut, as you know, Chris, and my membership is basically Manhattanites who come up to their second homes on the weekends, and they don't get to touch a golf club a lot. So a lot of the drills that I've developed are things you can do inside and don't need a golf ball. So, you kind of just stand with your back to the wall, and, too many times I see golf club getting pulled inside behind the person, and then, then they kind of lift it, and then the golf club goes across the line, and they're kind of cooked from there. So, excuse me, if you stand with your back to the wall, you're going to feel how your arms, your body's going to push your arms away, and then how that club is going to start to, hinge vertically. And if you start hitting the wall, your wife's going to get pretty mad at you because of all the holes you put in the wall and all the paint you chipped there.
And Paul,
and then it's, those arms hinge a little bit. Oops, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, finish your thought.
I just said, you learn how your body turns and your arms work vertically. So, in the job that they're both supposed to do in the backswing.
And another one of your videos, Paul, and is one of the shots that so many of us struggle with around the greens, and that's sort of chunking a chip shot when we're on an uphill lie to an uphill green that's crowned, and we'll grab the sand wedge and chunk that, and then the ball ends up rolling all the way back down to our feet. And you've got a great tip out there on golfchannel.com about how to use a hybrid to pull that shot off. Do you mind sharing that tip as well?
Not at all. I mean, at our golf course, we have a lot of elevated greens, and, with today's design, you see a lot more chipping areas. So, I mean, I just have seen too many people, as you said, get it a little bit behind it. That golf ball gets about 2/3 of the way up and rolls right back to their feet. So I like to see people use a hybrid more times than not, and feel like they get a little bit of a, closer set of your feet a little bit closer together. And really, then it just becomes just a big chipping motion where you're not using any levers, you're not using your wrists or your elbows, and you're really just feeling like your shoulders and arms take the club back. And depending on how long the shot is, I typically see the golf club head getting somewhere between, the ankle and the right, the back right knee, and then allowing that golf club to swing through and, really catching the ball first. And if you miss it a little bit with that sole on the hybrid, you're going to, skip into the ball a little bit, bouncing the ball a little bit, where that leading edge and that wedge is going to dig in. And, you got to get comfortable with it. It's definitely the first time I introduce it to people, that extra club head mass, that golf ball goes flying. And they don't like it. And I ask them to stick with it. And I don't try to force shots on people, but, if you stick with it, it's the type of thing that can become successful. Then like 3 weeks later, these people that didn't like that shot, they're teaching it to their friends.
So Paul, to your point, being up there in Connecticut, right? Wintertime comes, not a lot of golf being played, but you've got a wonderful indoor practice facility from what I've seen online, Golf on the Green. Talk about the facility and what people can come in there and do when it's too cold to play.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate. I went to the board of directors of my club and asked them if I could do this. Teaching is really my passion. I mean, it's why, playing and teaching is why so many of us got in the game. And we had a member. We don't have a lot of members that are local. We had a guy who had a very successful career in Manhattan and kind of lives up here full time. He acquired some real estate, and, I went to him and he gave me a storefront on the oceanfront property right on this, quintessential New England green. And, it's, all the other, popular stores and restaurants, encircling the green. And I built, an indoor training facility, 2 hitting bays, indoor chipping and putting area, putting lab area. I've got, TrackMan in there, Flight Scope, Body Track V1, Sand Putt Lab. So, I operate from November 1st until March 31st, and I go back up to the club. It's really turned into a nice business for me. I've worked with a lot of the New England boarding schools, and then, teach my members and teach, just other people that are, local golfers, a lot of members at other clubs too. So it's really, helped my teaching business. It's really taken off in the last 5 years. And, so it's been great. Keeps you busy all winter too. There's some long winters up here in Connecticut, northwest corner of Connecticut.
Well, Paul, how can our listeners find out more information about what you're doing, follow you online, and check out your website?
So it's paulramee.com. I've got at Paul Ramee Jr. on Twitter, and then at Golf on the Green on Instagram.
Well, Paul, it's certainly been wonderful having you as part of the show tonight. I love your stories. I hope you'll come back and share more and give us more of your insights and your tips another time, because it's been a lot of fun having you on the show.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll come back anytime, Chris. Thanks. I can't believe that the half an hour has flown by that quickly.
I know.
Awesome.
It is fantastic.
So you're
Paul,
a lucky
thanks
man.
again for your time. I look forward to catching up with you again soon. In between now and then, all the best to you and your family.
Thanks, Chris. You too. Enjoyed it.
Take care, Paul.
Bye.
That's Paul Ramee, and his last name is spelled Ramee. So be sure to go check him out. Check out his website. Check out, again, I'm telling you that if you're up in that area, Golf on the Green looks absolutely fantastic. And, as we know on the football side with my co-host Bob Lazzari, who lives up in Connecticut as well, it's cold and it's damp and it's rainy and it's gray for a long time up in the wintertime. But if you can go to a great place like his and get into a couple of bays and, keep the rust off your swings, you're going to come back in the spring and be fantastic. So check him out. Follow him on online and on social media as well. All right, folks, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks again go out to Eric Johnson, Rob Strano, and Paul Ramee for joining me tonight. Folks, please give me your thoughts. Check out our page on Facebook, Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro. You can give me, comments and all that sort of thing right on there. Please check out our website, nextonthetee.net. On there, you're going to be able to see who some of our future guests are going to be. So if you've got a question for someone who's been on the show or going to be on the show, let me know through our Facebook page. We'll be glad to get that question answered for you. Over, like I mentioned a moment ago, our sister show on the football side, Thursday Night Tailgate with me and my co-host Bob Lazzari and our announcer Joe LaGenusa. That show airs live every Thursday night from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. You can stream it live right here on Blog Talk Radio, and that show, like this one, also available as a free podcast over on Podbean. And can't thank those guys enough for featuring us right there on the football side in their NFL fan section. This show Next on the Tee right there in their golf section. And if you're a fan of podcasts across all genres, be sure to go over to podbean.com or download the Podbean app. They've got so many great podcasts, like I say, across all different genres that you're going to love. And we hope that, if you download the Podbean app, you can take us with you everywhere you go. On Thursday Night Tailgate, we are joined every week by 5 NFL legends who come on and share their stories and their insights into what's going on around the league today. Plus, we highlight 2 players doing great things in their communities in our Spotlight on the Positive segment. You can find that show online at ThursdayNightTailgate.com. And again, this one, nextonthetee.net. Folks, again, thank you for choosing to listen to this show tonight. We really appreciate the fact that you're making us part of your golf content. Until next week, hit 'em straight, my friend.
You've been listening to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, where PGA and LPGA pros and top instructors and media members go to tell their stories. Join us the same time every Tuesday to hear more stories about the game we love from people who love sharing those stories with you. It's all about the great game of golf. It's all about the great game of golf.